Welcome to 3 Steps. This is the first part of a 3-part interview with Carl John. Now, the theme of this interview is how can we grow and evolve? And the reason that's the theme is because that is actually the theme of what he's been going through for the last, I can't count how many years. When I first met him 7 years ago, this man was a powerhouse businessman. He did multi-million-dollar deals in real estate. He owned the restaurant. He wore the fancy suits, drove the fancy car, lived in the big house. Like, you know, wife and kids, the whole thing. And then suddenly yanked the wheel, changed directions. You know what? I'm going to become a musician. I'm going to write songs. I'm going to move to Nashville. I'm going to do this. Oh, you know what? I'm also going to become a spiritual healer. That's what I'm going to do. And he did. He did all of those things. And it was a journey. It was rough, and it was messy, and it was beautiful, and it was like watching a caterpillar evolve into a butterfly. And he has become this amalgam of all those previous things, and now he is this centered and grounded powerhouse of a man, but not a powerhouse of a man and like, let me tell you how I am and let it up, do it. No. He is powerful with a graceful smile. You know, he leads beautifully and subtly. This man, so he answered the usual questions that we asked, but he did not answer them in a usual way. He gave such thoughtful and very clear and concise, you know, answers that give these subtleties and nuances to the evolution that he went through. So I hope you glean as much as you can from this. As a side note, this interview went so long. It was about an hour and a half long. And so, you know, I normally cut this down to 15, 20 minutes. I had to lose a half-hour footage. So this interview is a little longer than normal, and the next one's a little longer than normal, and the next one is even a little longer than that. And that's still cutting out a half-hour footage. And there's so much good stuff in here. All right, enjoy the interview. I'll see you on the other side. Welcome. This is Carl John. You want to introduce yourself?
My name's Carl John, and I'm here today with John.
You are. You want to tell them about yourself?
Sure. What would I like to say about myself today that's relevant? I'm a healer. I'm a teacher. I'm an artist and musician. A businessman, a developer, a father, and a friend.
Yeah.
So I'm all those things, and it depends on when we're talking. Yeah. But I think the overriding thing in everything that I am is a healer.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. Yeah, man. So there's so much unsaid in that little laughter right there. CJ to me has been a beautiful evolution of a man like taking control of his life in a very short period of time. Like, he's a very go-getter, very do things personality type of human being, and you just were on this path and you went, no, and you just full stop, turned directions, and like launched and like just dove straight in, like gonna risk it all, and became just this beautiful being you are. And music maker and healer. You heal in so many different ways, and it's, you know, he does energy work, he does a lot of good stuff. Anyways, amazing human being. And we're gonna get into it. I'm gonna ask you the first question. So what does masculinity mean to you?
What does masculinity mean to me? You know, I thought about this earlier today, and I thought about what it meant as a child.
Right.
And then when I went into the military, I was 17, and your view of masculinity is that male militant figure.
Right.
And then as I evolved and became a go-getter in my 20s and an entrepreneur and a businessman, that I thought it was about having the things and being the thing
for
people.
Yeah.
And being the alpha in the room, to be the one that commands the respect in that way. And I guess as I've evolved, the masculine to me has become that, but softer. My name, Carl John, is after my two grandfathers.
Oh.
Carl was my adopted grandfather, the only one I ever knew on my dad's side. And he took on the family. He's a barrel-chested guy, quiet spoken, still.
Yeah.
John, my mother's side, was an abusive alcoholic who died of cirrhosis before I was even born.
Wow.
So it's almost like the duality within me. And I've come to terms with that and bringing in the balance in the one.
Right.
And the masculine for me is that softer, centered, compassionate, loving stillness
Yeah.
in the masculine.
Yeah.
That is grounded, consistent, and has the integrity to be their word.
Right.
And show up as they say they're going to show up. And if they don't, to be vulnerable in that moment of their space in humanity.
Right.
Because we're all one and we're all growing together.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. See? Oh my God. Well, what does it mean to be a man?
What it means to be a man in the masculine energy is, to me, to be grounded and still.
Yeah.
Whereas the feminine energy waxes and wanes, that you can wax and wane with it, as you know, which will take you on a tangent, a space you don't necessarily want to go.
Yeah.
Or be still and grounded in it, right?
Yeah.
I guess to live by your feathers that you've acquired in life.
Yeah. Yeah. The cap.
Right.
Yeah.
It's to look at the collective, look for more than just yourself and your impact in the world and all around you, to be empathetic, to be compassionate, so that you stand as you emerge into a chief.
Yeah. Yeah.
But one who's gathered their feathers along the way, hasn't bought their way into the space, doesn't have to show up and floss that that's who they are. They are.
They are.
They are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. That's good. Yeah.
That's what I aspire to be.
Yeah.
And every day is, a bit of evolution, right? And I tell everybody when doing work with somebody in their own evolution, so it's not a chart that goes straight up. It's like a stock market chart. It just goes like this. You're ultimately going here. It's ultimately getting to where you want to be, but you're gonna ebb and flow. And that's where your growth comes as well.
Yeah.
You can't force it open.
Yeah.
It's like you have a flower. I want that to be pretty in bloom, so I'm gonna force it open. You're gonna kill it.
You're gonna kill it.
Right? It has to take its time to do that. It's all happening perfectly, but you're growing into that. And so even today, I am a better man than I was last year. I'm gonna be a better man tomorrow. Right?
Yeah.
Sometimes it may not look like it. Sometimes it may look like you're going backwards to go forward. And that's okay too.
Yeah.
Because that compassion starts with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the real thing right there. What does it mean to be an adult?
This is interesting because to be an adult means, to me, doing all the things that makes one an adult. Taking care of their responsibilities, taking care of those around them when they can, to be their word, to show up, to think for the collective, and it's really interesting because you're asking about being a man, being an adult, And a lot of what's happening in the national stage makes me look at how we were brought up and how we were trained and the new conversation. Okay?
Yeah.
Because being an adult or being a man when I was a kid looked and sounded different than it does today. So we take a look at, what's true, right? What's no longer serving, and how can we grow and evolve?
Yes. Yeah, that's the big one right there.
Yeah. because when you're taught as a child, that being an adult means that you can do whatever you want to do and be, whatever, and to be a man means that you're this a tough, aggressive guy or whatever those things are to you, and we look and say, well, that's not what I see as a man. You can take a look at those that are on the center stage, let's say, on the world stage, right? Okay, they've made this mark. They're this billionaire. They're this politician. They're this leader. And you look at that and say, I see a lot of a child in a grown person's body.
Yeah, totally.
I see them acting with temper. I see them talking foolishly. And what you aspire to be as a child, to have all the things, all of a sudden you look at differently and say, no, I want to be the depth. I want to be that soul that is a true chief. Not to floss up here. And I've done that. I mean, when I started, my background, I self-made.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And, I wanted to be a millionaire by the time I was 30, and I wanted to do all these things. And go to Playboy Mansion. I did all the things.
Yeah.
Did all the things, right? But that's chasing outside of yourself. Right?
Yeah.
And so you're acquiring, but you're not really building any substance.
Yeah.
In this way.
Yeah.
And I think right now we're at this point of, listen, when you're a 15-year-old kid and you look at, a rap video on TV where somebody's flossing and, has the cars and the gold and the booty around them and all the things.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Oh,
that looks
that's
great.
what I want to be.
Yeah.
Right?
But then once you do have that.
Right. It always is lacking. Because you're constantly searching outside yourself. And I think an adult, a man, knows who they are.
Yeah.
Right? Outside of the form, outside of the ego, outside of the thing they've created, and they know their eternal self.
Yeah.
And there's a stillness and there's a presence when somebody knows that.
Yeah.
In who they are. And I think we're waking up to that fact, and we're looking to grow powerfully towards that, because that's where our healing is as a people.
When you were a kid, you had an idea of the kind of man you wanted to grow up to be. What was that idea, and did you grow into him?
Yeah, I guess I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess my first go round of, and it wasn't even what I thought to be a man. It was that I wanted to be seen, and I wanted to have, a lot of women around me, and I wanted to be attractive, and I wanted to have the things. And I did all those things at different times in my life.
Yeah.
I started late in becoming an artist, musician, author. It was later in life that I even knew that I had any abilities there at all. And I remember the first big show that I did. Afterwards, there was a party at one of the big clubs at the casino, and this was a show I'd opened for Robin Thicke. It was a big red carpet thing and yada yada. And afterwards, I just went to my room because by that point, I had already lived the rock star life. I had, skipped the velvet rope and had the tables and had the things and I've lived the rock star life.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I'm good. I just, I want my people. I want real connection.
Yeah.
I want real communication.
Yeah.
And I want the depth of something real to say or hear. Yeah. And that's more important to me. Did I ever have an I am a man moment? I think I've had a number of them. I think when I was on my own, my first jobs, the first time I hired someone else in my own business.
Yeah.
When I was married. When my first child was born. Where all of a sudden your life directly impacts those around you. And you see that to be true. It's not, it's this, that, when I'm married or I'm a father or I own a business, that you have other people that whose lives you affect. And you know that. But once you experience it and you come to the realization that you have an impact on others and what you do. That's the I'm a man moment.
Yeah.
For me.
It's a totally different beast, right? Yeah. Did you ever have the I'm an adult moment? It's very similar to the I'm a man moment, but it's like I'm an adult. It's like the weight of that.
I don't know when I actually had that moment. Yeah, I was working in the cornfields when I was 13 years old. I left home when I was 17. I think I always had that feeling when I became self-contained to a degree, where I was making some money, doing what I wanted to do. And I don't know that I ever had the moment of considering myself an adult, because I always felt that way. I think I felt that way when I was 13 years old.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
I felt I didn't understand why I couldn't just do what I wanted to do. I had a single mother.
Yeah.
And so that was challenging, right?
Yeah.
Because I was coming into my manhood, so I thought, at that time. And just, I guess, seamlessly moved from one space to the other as an adult.
Yeah.
So it started to evolve, but I never considered what it meant to be an adult. It was something that it was a space that I ended up in by default.
By default, yeah.
And I think it is interesting, back to the conversation of what are we creating now, to have an idea as a child what it means to be an adult.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're a kid, right?
Right.
What does a kid know about being an adult? But you grok those things. So that's the part that's important to me to get. Like, how did you interpret the data? Because it's, we, as we're growing up, we have that idea, that vision, the kind of man you want to be, the kind of adult you want to be. But the realities of like superseding your initial idea, like that moment, I'm curious about those.
I think the moment for me of becoming an adult, in a way, was counterintuitive. Because I was, by the outside world, becoming successful, acquiring things, looked like I had my shit together.
Right.
Right? But I think that going through the space of understanding the eternal self, living in a deeply spiritual way. And what I mean by that is in alignment with everything and non-thing around you, right? And I started to experience the world differently. And in that, I found connection with others. I felt love for others that I hadn't felt when I was adulting earlier.
Yeah.
Where I was just acquiring things and experiences, like putting them into my little bag along the way. But I want to now be more for others. It's really not even about me, my reason for being.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I could care less. I mean, you could take pretty much everything I have and burn it. I could care less. I've done it before. When I got wiped out once, and in that way, I gave more stuff away. I go over to my friend's house now, and I'm like, oh, those lamps were mine, and that painting was mine, and that thing was mine.
Yeah, I remember.
And I had Armani suits and Ferragamo shoes and all this stuff, and I just gave them away.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't matter. It's Maya. It's an illusion. It comes and goes quick. As quickly as anything. And it doesn't matter. Into the universe, this wrap, or this building is the same thing.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Nice. Nicely done, sir. Yeah.
And so...
it doesn't matter. Nice. Yeah.
So that doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
Because it's my soul's evolution.
Yeah.
That's the difference in my walk, is seeing the non-duality. All those thoughts, all those things, knowing they're not you, they're outside of you, right?
Yeah.
And the eternal you is just observing,
Witnessing. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And you start to experience that. When you experience that, then you don't see the other as other, you see the other as self.
Yeah.
And that, to me, is adulting.
Oh, nice. I really hope. So this is one of the things I hope you caught the subtlety of that.
Thanks for watching. So what'd you think? Like, seriously, that was a lot of information, right? And I hope you appreciated all the subtlety and the nuance here. The next two interviews are even just, there's so much more information, and he goes into so much great detail and just clear vision and clear direction that there's a lot to be gleaned from this interview. Tell me what you think. Did you like the interview? Did you like the style? Leave a comment down below, and subscribe. Help us reach 100 subscribers. We are so close. We are almost there. And, hit the bell for notifications. And if you haven't joined the Facebook group, please do, and join us on this coming Sunday. All right. See you Wednesday.